Are you ready? Let's go!
Don't you sometimes just want to talk about everything? You know, there's days when you can just talk about anything. Need to sit back and chat about nothing at all? Nothing But Julie, coming at you with fun and creative topics and interviews.
Did you hear Julie's podcast? She's got the greatest topics.
Come join the chat about everything, anything, and nothing. So unwind and tune in to Nothing But Julie. Great topics and cool interviews with some pretty awesome people. And now, without further delay, here's Nothing But Julie.
Hello, everybody. I am Julie Schrager, the host of Nothing But Julie podcast, and thank you so much for joining me. Hey, let me ask you a question. All right, very, very simple question. What is your zodiac sign? Your zodiac sign? No, I am not. I don't have a speech impediment. I am singing from a song from back in the 80s. Zodiac sign. Yeah, it was a good song. As were most of the songs back in the 80s, but that is not the topic of discussion today. I was reading an article the other day, and I already had my podcast topic set and bumped into this topic of zodiac signs and became intrigued because it was all about if your zodiac sign really is your true star sign. And I was like, what? And then it started making me think about, like, how real is this? Is it bullshit? You know, I just fact or cap that zodiac signs exist. And so stick around before you think this is going to get a little boring, because I promise you it won't. To me, I don't really care about zodiac signs, but every now and then throughout my life, of course, I would read a horoscope. You know, when I was younger, in the paper, which is, you know, really all we had to go on, you know, they would have, I think it was it the weekly horoscopes in the Sunday newspaper? I don't recall. But I do remember that the newspaper had the horoscopes. And I do remember, sorry, I just had a sip of tea and went down the wrong tubular. And I remember being able to see what my zodiac was going to be for the week. So I'm assuming that it was on a Sunday, the Sunday newspaper. Well, anyway, you know, that was when I was like mostly intrigued. And the thing of it is, it was crazy, is I bought into it, because many of the times when I would read about my zodiac sign, it was so true what I might have experienced as I'm an Aquarius, in, you know, compatibility. And so that is what this topic is on today, if astrology is really real. And if so, is it based on science? I've become very much into the whole, you know, is this, you know, built on science? I think ever since COVID, as many of us have become, I have become intrigued in science and how you just cannot argue with science. You just can't. If you want to be that person that's going to say this and that, let's say about a vaccine, or this and that about, I don't know, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But if you have certain beliefs, my question is, and it's very simple, have you backed it up with science? Because science doesn't lie. Those are not just words I'm using. It is backed up with fact. Don't you remember science class? And you had to have, you first had to start off with your hypothesis, and then you had to do experiments, and then what your conclusion was. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Science doesn't lie. And so I decided to look up some things on the internet, on some websites about, you know, if science really does believe in astrology. And so I went onto this website called scientificamerican.com, and it really opened my eyes. You know, the question is astrology real? I mean, when you look into the stars and you see the Milky Way and all that, I mean, what really is true? when it comes to horoscopes. I mean, it becomes very popular. You've got lots of psychics that have tarot cards, and they start off, with certain cards that pertain to your sign. So is there anything in science that maybe suggests that this really does mean something? And so what I read was, and I like to be able to start talking about things I read instead of just talking, because some of the time when I'm talking, it's based on what I've read. And I do always put my sources on my description, or in my description. I also will mention it as I'm talking. But it says here, Anna, this is a quote, that as many as 70 million Americans read their horoscopes daily. That's a quote from scientificamerican.com. And they say that this is according to the American Federation of Astrologers. Wow. And about 20 years ago, there was a study that was done where 25% of Americans actually did believe that the way that the stars are positioned and the way that the planets are positioned affect our daily lives. It's a great belief. And we're dating way back to the Mayans and the cavemen who had to rely on the stars for guidance, for direction, and their theories. And there was a study that was done back in 2012 that found that 34% of Americans that were surveyed actually considered astrology to be very or sort of scientific. All right, well, let's first talk about the definition of astrology. According to this website, astrology is generally defined as the belief that astronomical phenomena, like the stars overhead, when you were born, or the fact that Mercury is in retrograde, have the power to influence the daily events in our lives and our personality traits. So, first of all, what does Mercury in retrograde mean? Well, I've read this a bunch of times, and I was never completely sure what that term meant, Mercury to be in retrograde. And I've heard, on this week, Mercury is in retrograde, and I'm just like, what the hell does that mean? So it basically means that Mercury actually begins this period of what they call a retrograde motion, which starts, I think, in December, like December 19th. And they say that it could be in retrograde for a certain period of time. And this is when people actually look at the motions of the planet to help explain things that were unseemly or things that might have happened. And that apparently Mercury is the planet of communication. It's one of the 5 classic planets, along with Venus, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, which is visible from Earth. And it's also the closest planet to the sun. So I think that when it comes to things like that, when you say things like that, I don't think that it's from my point of view, it's not very believable. They're basically saying that Mercury is the planet that has the most communication in astrology, and it still doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of like an illusion. That's all it is, that makes Mercury appear from Earth as though it's moving in the opposite direction. Basically, that's really the Mercury retrograde phenomenon. But it basically happens because there's differences in the orbit between Mercury and Earth. So, yeah, I hope you understood that, because I can say it 100,000 times and still will not understand it. But that's okay, because, whatever. But anyway, they're saying that is part of the astrology definition. And the forecasting of a person's future is one of the aspects of astrology. And blah, 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 blah. Forecasting, basically foreshadowing or offering advice on, with the horoscopes, like I told you I would watch. But there's lots of people that are out there that just are trying to interpret the stars and try and figure out exactly what the stars mean. And I don't know really if it's based on science. From this article, I didn't really get much from it except what people believe, that they believe that science is pretty much involved when it comes to horoscopes. I know that a lot of people believe in the horoscopes. They're looking for ways to interpret the stars for advice. But how really has astrology been tested? How? What has, science done to make us believe statistically that astrology is real? It's not all scientific. That I can tell you. So the short answer, basically, when it comes to science, is I don't believe that there's any scientific data to back up astrology, because it's founded on the understanding that you have all these positions with the stars, which kind of seems like scientific, but there isn't any scientific study or any studies to back up whether astrology has anything to do with our personality and our lives. So there you have it. Moving on from the science aspect, my next question is, and again, since now I know and you know that science really can't back up, astrology, well then what about your zodiac sign? Does that mean now that your zodiac sign means nothing, or do you still want to have something to believe in? I mean, I sure do, but I just can't wrap my brain around it. It's very hard for me to believe in all of this astrology. When I was a kid, I didn't know any better. But I'll tell you, I would love to share my zodiac sign with some other people that are extremely smart and be able to say, well, I'm an Aquarius, so I'm super intelligent. But it means nothing. All right, zodiac signs, they're everywhere. How many times has somebody asked you what your zodiac sign is? And if someone really knows what this is all about. So, according to all these different websites that you can go onto for horoscopes, I am an Aquarius. And if, hold on. Let me just, okay, again, do I totally believe in it? No, I don't totally believe in it. But let me still tell you about who I am and what I am, because it's just really strange. Okay, so apparently the Aquarius is the 11th astrological sign in the zodiac. Okay, great. My symbol or Aquarius symbols are water bearers. Our element is air. Birthstone, amethyst, which I love. I do love it. And of course, my ruling planet is Uranus, aka Uranus. But I mean, really, like my whole life. And nobody knows this, which is okay. But in the fall, my planet is Neptune. And it's not just amethyst. It's also garnet, jasper moss, moss agate, and sugarlight. So what are the traits of an Aquarius per the zodiac sign? Well, we are advanced. Of course we are. I don't consider myself to be advanced by any means, and I don't really like that word. It's the same as, being gifted. It's the same as, I just don't like labels. But I am not an Elon Musk. I am, not even close to that. However, it's okay. It goes on to say that we're self-reliant, which I am. Clever, maybe witty. Clever, maybe. Exceptional and optimistic. Yeah, no. I can tell you right now, I am not the most optimistic person. It is not a very good trait. I am working on it. It is not easy. It hasn't been easy for the last few years. So no, I haven't been a pessimistic person my whole life. It's just over the last few years and feeling a little down with everything that's been, kind of going on in the world. I haven't been very optimistic. I'm kind of in that mode of, well, things really need to get worse before they get better kind of thing. But it's okay. It's all right. But the question is, how much of this is real? How much of what you read or what you know about your zodiac sign is real? It says that I, as an Aquarius, that I advocate empathy and compassion. It is very true. I'm extremely empathetic. This word is being utilized a lot now. It's become a very trending word, just like the word trigger. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the word trigger has been around forever. I used to use that word ever since I was in my early 20s. Same with the word empathetic or showing, quote, empathy. I have always been a very empathetic and compassionate person. And it's not something that is a bad trait. Sometimes it's exhausting, but moving on, that is correct about me, but that could be put in anybody's zodiac. I don't really totally agree. Anyway, it also says that I need plenty of space and time on my own to reflect, and I need to, and that is true. I don't like being bombarded. I don't like having, I feel, I don't want to use the word stressed, but I feel this enormous weight when I feel this enormous weight when I don't have some time to myself. It also says I enact change. I'm deeply motivated. I enjoy teamwork, and I participate in communities of like-minded individuals. Very, very true, all of that. But does that really mean that what they're saying about me is true? Does that mean just because they're listing it, they're listing just as many things that are not correct? So it seems as though the zodiac signs have become increasingly popular over, I would say, younger adults. And they're all over Instagram and Facebook feeds and BuzzFeed. And from what I remember reading, that scientists, actually real scientists, they refute the validity of zodiac signs. And there's an actual children's site, a NASA children's site, that just completely denies zodiac signs. But there are people who want to believe, to make themselves, I don't know, deal with life, or I don't know. But this is right here. I mean, they're basically saying, no, doesn't mean shit, coming from scientists. So you can believe whatever you want, but the truth is in the science. I mean, what it really comes down to when it comes to certain questions that can be refuted scientifically, it comes down to facts. I mean, zodiac signs are real. They're based on the constellations, but even NASA says no. You can't feed into that a certain person's personality is determined by their sign. So now that I've told you that, what do we do? What are you going to do now that you know that this whole thing is a farce? Do you still believe it? Well, I don't believe it. I don't believe in it. But I do know that everyone is assigned a sign at birth. Guess what? They're even saying that that's wrong. On Forbes.com, there's an article about what your real star sign is and why you've been reading the wrong horoscope your entire life. This is from a senior contributor, Jamie Carter. Wow. When I read this article, it's like, okay, it's bad enough that I don't believe anymore in astrology or science, but now in science or zodiac signs. But now my sign for the last 52 years might have been incorrect. All right, so now let's say you don't believe in astrology, but you still know what your sign is, right? Period. You know what it is, but there has now been proof that there have been inaccuracies in our star signs. So how do you really know what your star sign is? So according to Forbes.com and the writer, he says that you just need to know what constellation the sun is on your birthday. Okay, well, how do you do that? Well, he goes on to say that you can go on to a free online planetarium such as Stellarium. Put your date of birth. Okay, so I'm going to do that with you on here. I'm on stellarium-web.org. All right? Here I go. Now they're saying I have to download this stupid thing, which I'm not going to. All right. So you can basically put in all of your information, right? So I guess that's what I'm supposed to do. Just, okay. Search, observe. No. Okay. Search. I guess I just put in my birth date in here. I'm not sure since you have no idea what I'm looking at, but let's see. It does not help me, but yet it's telling me that I should download this app. So I'm going to download the app, but in the meantime, let me oh wow, you have to pay $14 for this? Oh no. There's got to be another way to do this. I can't seem to find anything else, so we'll just move on from here. But it tells you that you enter the date of your birth, and then you click the sun, and it'll tell you exactly what constellation is on that date. Wow. I mean, there's another website that's called Ecliptic, which I think is supposed to show you something as well, but it leads you to well, this is really weird, to Wikipedia. Well, anyway, I'm going to come back to that. But what this man is saying here is that the sun isn't in everything or anything. It's true. But how all these years have we lost sight of it? How do we know? They just don't. And he talks about Mercury in retrograde is meaningless nonsense. He goes on to say people just enjoy reading their horoscope. So check this out. You ready? I'm going to read all this to you. Capricorn. Traditionally, it was December 22nd through January 19th. Now they're saying it's January 20th through February 16th. What? So that means that if your birthday is anywhere from December 22nd to January, whatever I said, 19th, I can't remember, you really are a Sagittarius. All right, so I'm an Aquarius between January 20th and February 18th, right? Now they're saying that, hold on, I am really, I am really, excuse me, I am really a Capricorn. That's what they're saying, that I am really a Capricorn. So now my son supposedly was a Gemini, all right? So let me tell you this. He was born June 15th, right? They're now saying, he's really a Taurus. He's not a Gemini. Well, guess what? I got a tattoo in the back of my ear that is in the shape or the sign of the Gemini. Not going to redo that. Sorry. You can't see it. It's white and it's very faint. Anywho, it's a little scary for those people that buy into this, finding out that right now your sign might not be your real sign. Okay, my tea is cold and it's disgusting. All right, now I'm going to go through this real quick. Again, Capricorn. Traditionally, it was December 22nd through January 19th. When you were born, they're now saying, nope, the actual dates are January 20th through February 16th. Aquarius, what we thought January 20th through February 18th is really birth dates between February 16th and March 11th. Pisces, February 19th through March 20th is now actually March 11th through April 18th. If you thought you were an Aries, born between March 21st and April 19th, the actual is April 18th through May 13th. If you believed that you were a Taurus, born between the dates of April 20th and May 20th, wrong. The actual dates they're saying are May 13th through June 21st. Oh, God. This is killing me. Gemini. What you thought was, well, birth dates for a Gemini, May 21st through June 20th, are really actually June 21st through July 20th. Cancer, June 21st through July 22nd. Wrong again. You have to be born between July 20th and August 10th. If you were born between July 23rd and August 22nd, you thought you were a Leo. Wrong again. It says the actual ones, the actual dates are August 10th through September 16th. Virgo, if you were born between August 23rd and September 22nd, they're saying, that's inaccurate. It really is if you were born between September 16th and October 30th. Libra, if you were born between September 23rd and October 22nd, according to Forbes.com, you are not a Libra. The actual dates of being a Libra are October 30th through November 23rd. Moving on to Scorpio. If you believe you're a Scorpio born between October 23rd and November 21st, you are wrong. You are a Scorpio only if you were born between November 23rd and November 29th. What the hell is this? Officious? What the hell is this and why was this put in here? That makes no sense. Okay, I don't know why this was put in here, but they're saying there's no traditional set dates. The actual is November 29th through December 17th, whatever. Last one, Sagittarius. If you were born between November 22nd and December 21st, you are not a Sagittarius. You have to have been born between December 17th and January 20th. Apparently, this new zodiac sign, which apparently is pronounced Orpheus, is the 13th sign of the zodiac now. Oh, we now have a 13th sign. Apparently, there is a summer constellation. The sun enters the constellation of Orpheus on the 29th of November and leaves on the 18th of December, which is a period of the year thought of as Sagittarius. So here we are, now completely mystified by the fact that what we once thought our star sign was, or zodiac sign was, is not. Now, I'd like someone to scientifically back this shit up and tell me if this is true or not. Whether it's true or not, I can't all of a sudden start saying, I'm a different sign than what I've known for 52 years. It's just not going to happen. But it's good to know that, there are people out there, that are still challenging the Babylonian times, and maybe the earth is no longer, in the same spot. I mean, I just, I don't know. These zodiac signs go as far back as those Babylonians that lived in Mesopotamia, and which is now Iraq and Syria, for those of you who don't know. And I just don't know if I totally believe that my sign is not what it has been. I don't know. I'd really like to know where this guy got his... he says that he's experienced in science, technology, and travel. I'd like to... It doesn't say where he got his information from. He doesn't say what his sources are. So I'm going to kind of take this with a grain of salt because I don't know how much I believe in it. But there you go. There are some people out there that believe that your signs really aren't your signs. So now that kind of changes the whole ballgame. I mean, think about it. What your sign once was is now different, which maybe makes you more compatible with your husband or your boyfriend or people that you're looking for when it comes to zodiac signs. You can go, oh, I'm not an Aquarius anymore. I forgot what I was, Capricorn. And then you can go, oh, okay, now I know. Let me see who I could be compatible with. Well, here we go. According to a website, purewow.com, they have listed the most incompatible zodiac signs that should not ever date. And this is according to a particular astrologer. Okay? Now, again, I don't believe in this. So that's why I'm doing it. According to this website, and I'm trying to see, Kiki O'Keefe, back in July of 2020, she is the columnist that goes on. Again, I'd like to know where some of these columnists get their sources from. She apparently is an astrologer writer, so I'm sure that she's got a bountiful amount of things to back up her claim. So this is what she says. She says Aries and Cancers. Ooh. They're saying, she's actually saying, are not compatible at all. She's saying that Cancers are sentimental and they need time to properly establish trust. That's a direct quote. And it goes on to say that by the time a Cancer is actually comfortable enough to commit, Aries have already assumed the Cancer was just not into them. Because Aries love to move quickly and capitalize on the romance of the moment. So Aries and Cancers, you ain't compatible. Okay, two other zodiac signs that are not compatible are Gemini and Scorpio. She goes on to say that Geminis are free roaming, and they can kind of freak out a Scorpio who, according to her, a Scorpio needs to know where their partner stands on everything at all times, and that the ground is always shifting, and that Scorpios don't feel safe to put their hearts in a lasting partnership, whereas Geminis are comfortable in that kind of environment. Okay, another two signs that are not compatible are Capricorn and Sagittarius. Huh. So, according to the writer, she says that Capricorns are, quote, professional. They work very hard, and she goes on to say that they're looking for a romantic partner. Bring in Sagittarius. She's basically saying that they're more messy and they don't care about showing up on time. Completely yin and yang. Capricorn and Sagittarius don't work well together. Taurus and Aquarius, which is kind of good to read that they're incompatible, because I've been with my husband for 30 years, almost 30 years. So it's good to know that he is not a Taurus. It's funny reading this because it Taurus is the bull. And they say, a bull is stable and a bull is predictable. But Aquarius's are the innovators of the zodiac, that we do the same thing the same way, which is basically a recipe for suffocation and boredom. Now, let me tell you what is, again, wrong with this description of an Aquarius. I am not like that at all. I don't like being bored. I don't like stagnation. But she goes on to say that they need stimulation, and Taurus is like a lot of wasted energy. My God, that's so horrible. But I mean, it sounds like it's kind of true. I mean, but now think about it. If I am not really an Aquarius anymore, right? That means that what am I now? Hold on a second. I am considered now to be a Capricorn. Then that's maybe why when I read about Aquarius stuff, it's wrong, because it doesn't fit me. So I'm going down the list and I'm looking for Capricorn, right? Well, Capricorn and Sagittarius. And again, it says professional. Capricorns are professional. Yes, it's very true. Hardworking, ambitious. Yes, that's me. But it goes on to say they're serious about what they want. Very true. But they don't get along well with Sagittariuses, which, again, according to the previous article that I read, a Sagittarius is not even a Sagittarius anymore, right? You're really November 22nd to December. So you're really a Scorpio. So that means Capricorns and Scorpios are not good together. And I Capricorn and Sagittarius. Oh my God. And it says right here, Capricorn and Sagittarius. Oh my God. That's not good. Well, I guess it really doesn't matter. So Virgo and Libras are not good together. A Leo and Pisces are not compatible with each other either. So there you have it. But again, if you are now supposed to be considered a different zodiac sign than what you've always thought, all of that incompatibility changes, which now brings me to who are the most compatible zodiac sign partners. Well, according to IndianExpress.com, this is by the Lifestyle Desk. This is pretty cool. They don't have an actual writer. But anyway, moving on. They, again, I don't know how true this is, because they're saying here, like, Aries and Geminis get along really great. But I now have to think of, okay, what sign really is my husband? I mean, if I am now considered to be a Capricorn, then if my husband, who was a Leo, pardonnez-moi, that means that he really is a Cancer. All right, so Capricorn and Cancer. I'm just curious. Let's see if there's anything here. Capricorn and Taurus. Capricorn, nope, and no. Oh, look, me and my husband are not compatible according to our new signs. Okay, so they're saying here that Aries and Geminis are very compatible. They say that Aries have lots of energy, and you basically just can't ignore them. And they are compatible with Geminis because they both have a lot of the same characteristics. They're both independent. They both respect each other's decisions, whether it is personal or professional. Taurus and Capricorns are very compatible because they say that Tauruses have lots of determination. They're known for getting things done. And they'll always make a Capricorn feel safe. Cancer and a Scorpion. A Scorpion or Scorpio? I think they meant Scorpio. So it goes on to say that Cancers can be very sensitive and have lots of feelings, and it's very important that they have emotional security. where the Cancers, how do I say this? Hold on. Scorpios, I was just reading, but let me move on from that. Scorpios have a lot of attention to detail, and they're very good at picking up on feelings that are not spoken about and how to diffuse it. So those two together are very compatible. Goes on to say Leos and Sagittariuses, because Leos are leaders, ruled by the sun. They're very optimistic, but they're also very disciplined. And they can light up a room. Oh my God, it's just like my husband. Jesus Christ. And the reason why they're compatible with Sagittarians is because they both have a very similar approach to life. They're both busy, respect each other's independence, look up to each other. It goes on to say that when a Leo does not, feels down or uninspired, Sagittarius will encourage and pick them up. A Virgo and Capricorn and a Virgo and a Taurus are compatible. And then they say a Libra and an Aquarius are compatible, because Libras have they have a fun-loving nature that basically can win over anybody. But Aquariuses, like Mawa, offer mental stimulation to stay engaged in a relationship. Pisces and Cancers and Pisces and Scorpios are compatible, as well as a Capricorn and Scorpio. They say that they're both sensual signs, and they both take a long time to trust. But goes on to say that a Capricorn relationships come before anything, and Scorpios like to be in control of things, like their relationship. So they're very loyal. So there you have it, folks. I don't know how much of this I believe, but I'm just repeating to you what I am reading. I think that it's fun, to look into zodiacs. But now that I read that your zodiac sign really isn't your zodiac sign, what do we do with that? I think I'm just going to go on continuing to believe that I am still an Aquarius. I'm not about to change, so plus I don't believe in it, so what do I care, right? Anyway, this was fun. I know that many of you are so completely not interested in zodiac signs, but it's still kind of interesting. I'm sure that you would still have a bit of interest to find out who you are compatible with and who you're not, and if the person you married is someone you're compatible with. Even though you've been married to that person and had a relationship, wouldn't it be interesting to find out after all this time that you've been with your partner if you really are compatible? So then you can kind of debunk all of, the zodiac sign stuff. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye, everyone.